Hello friends, I have been sharing my views through my channel Life as I See It to you about the things what I come across in my life. Today, I'm going to talk to you about my views on the appointment of district collectors in the state of Tamil Nadu. The government of Tamil Nadu has chosen to appoint young IAS officers to various districts as district collectors. And regarding that, one of the Tamil magazines, a weekly magazine, Junior Vedan, had asked for my opinion that was published today. In that magazine, I had shared my view as how I see it when it comes to appointment of young IAS officers as district collectors. What I had told in the magazine is that it's a very positive move, but it has its own challenges. And I want to talk to you. I want to share with you a few more, my opinion in a little more greater detail. So the base of the opinion remains the same as what I have told in the magazine, but yet I wanted to discuss to you, I wanted to share with you my opinion in a little more greater detail with little more explanations. My view is district collector is one of the golden periods of the career of an IAS officer. As a district collector, an IAS officer gets more of exposure, gets more of opportunities to work at the field level, and gets more opportunity to touch the lives of people, because he is the one, the district collector is the one who is going to be responsible for the implementation of various welfare programs. He is the one who is going to be the face of the government at the district. It is his success and failure that is going to mark the success and failure of the people. It is his performance that is more viewed as a performance of the government, as a watermark for the performance of the government in the eyes of the local public. Because he is the one, is one of the important officers who is going to be in touch with the grassroots. So, the office of district collector becomes very important. By the way, whatever said and done, what is the significance of appointing youngsters as district collectors? What difference it is going to make? For this, one has to understand how the administration functions. When we say administration functions, or when we say how the governance as a process takes place, we have to understand that the governance functions through what is known as policies, legislations or laws, rules and regulations, and projects and schemes for welfare of the people. When a law is made, when a policy is made, it has to be implemented, and the implementation, as far as India is concerned, is to take place with district as a nodal point. For that matter, district is a concept. Every department functions, every department works with district as a concept, taking district as a concept. Now, when it comes to policy making, it is a cyclical process. The inputs for the policy has to come from the fields, because the policy has to be need-based. When we say need-based, it has to cater to the needs of the society. It has to be problem-based. When we say problem-based, it has to resolve the problems that the people face. It has to be challenges-based. When we say challenges-based, the policy has to help the people to overcome the challenges what they face as part of their life. After all, the society is largely dependent on the state for its guidance, setting its vision, and it is a policy or through the policy by which the state sets the vision for the society. To that extent, policy is important. For the policy to be need-based, for the policy to be problem-based, for the policy to be challenge-based, it has to have a bearing on the lives of the people. So the inputs have to come from the field. So at the district level, at the field level, it is the responsibility of the district collector. Because the field experience of a collector or field experience of an IAS officer as district collector will have to be fed into the policy formulation process when he heads the department. So the placements have to be scientific. The placements have to be well thought out. When the government posts or when the government places an IAS officer to the district level posting as a collector, it has to take into account whether he has the possibility to reach out to the policy making stage. Because the policy, as I told you, is a cyclical process. It requires a field level. It has to understand what the problems the people face, what challenges the society faces, what needs are there. The field officers can feed it. Now, when an officer, when a young officer is appointed, when an officer at the age of say 40, 30s, late 30s or early 40s is appointed as a district collector, he has still 20 more years to go since the retirement policy in India is 60 years for IAS officers. So in the 20 years, there is more probability and likelihood that this kind of officers will be heading a department where they will be involved in policy making. So when they sit at the policy making level, they will have a field experience. When they have the field experience, they will be in a position to formulate policies which are much more realistic and pragmatic. If the policies lose pragmatism, probably the policy will lose its implementality. It will not be an implementable policy. The field experience can add on to the pragmatism and implementability of the policy at the formulation stage itself, which is very important. Similarly, these officers will be leaders, and remember, in any public administration, the job itself is a training ground and your superior is your trainer. In fact, a new recruit to IAS, it's a proverbial saying, a new recruit to IAS learns much in the collector's house than in the office, which means he has to live through a life with the collector. The same logic applies. So when the officer, when the policy making level, when the officer sits at the policy making level, and when his subordinates, his junior officers, junior colleagues face certain problems, when they face certain apprehensions, when they fear, they look up to him. And when the officer who is a senior now, to who the junior colleagues look up to, must have to allay their fears and apprehensions, guide them to make decisions, give them a proper direction, for which the senior colleague must also have field experience. He must have come across it. Then he can tell, come on, my boy, I have also come across this. You should not fear us for these aspects. And for this, you have to move this way. These aspects, he will be able to guide. So the job itself will become a formidable training ground and training tool if we have senior officers who have enough of field experience. However, if the senior colleague did not have that experience, then probably there will be a gap between the juniors and the seniors. This will result in what Karl Marx says as the reinforcement of mutual incompetence. Karl Marx says a hierarchy function. The main problem of hierarchy is that it suffers from reinforcement of mutual incompetence. Because the man sits at the top, does not know the specifics of the field. He will not be able to understand or even empathize with the field officer. Whereas man at the lower level in the field will not know the overall idea. He doesn't have a bird's eye view. He doesn't have a comprehensive view. So with respect to the comprehensive dimension of the policy, the lower level staff, the field staff are incompetent. And with respect to the specifics of the field, the higher level staff are incompetent. And so when they work together, they reinforce their incompetence. Now this can be overcome by this strategic move of the government of Tamil Nadu. Because when a young officer is appointed and when he has enough number of years of service to reach out to the policy making level, he can take his experience to policy making level and he will be in a position to form a proper spoke that keeps the wheel intact and keeps the policy process rotating. That's one of the reasons why we have in India tenure system. However, there are certain challenges. The challenges when young officers are wielded with enormous power, many a time, and that too in the present context of social media era, there is a confusion between political intervention and political interference. The officers must be properly guided as to, they should be taught about as to what is political interference and political intervention. If every political intervention is treated as interference, then the officers may not be in a position to work or may not be able to work with the politicians. And second, the importance of neutrality and principle of anonymity as a virtue has to be imbibed in them, as a value has to be imbibed in them, because whatever job as a district collector, as a dynamic district collector you do, the credit will go to the local people's political representatives. When I say political representatives, it begins from the local ward councillors to the members of parliament, Lok Sabha. The IAS officers should not be reluctant or hesitant to give them the credit. So that line of demarcation is very important, because the political bosses and the IAS officers share the same domain, and there is a most likelihood of jurisdictional overlapping that can cause conflict, and this conflict may result in poor performance of the officer. Thirdly, and most important again, one of the most important aspects is that the officers must understand that, must set their vision for the long term rather than for short term as a collector. If these things are taken care of, then I suppose the move will be absolutely strategic and it will work very well in a very big way. Thank you very much, friends. We shall discuss about many other things later. Thank you. Thank you for watching.